Bitcoin is beginning to test this 48,000 level. We're almost back to 48,000. I'm still in the camp that we'll go to 48 to 50. Okay, 48 to 50 is my zone. Everyone is waiting for these ETFs to launch, right, to begin trading. And so I think you're getting hype going into it, which is pushing Bitcoin up in a short term. The spot Bitcoin ETF being approved, it's risk on in this market. There's no doubt about it. So even when you get hotter than expected inflation news, the market, at least for now, is kind of saying, okay, hotter, but we're not buying it. We still want to buy stocks. We still want to buy crypto. We still want to have fun, and we think we're going to make money.
Expert trader Gareth Soloway delves into comprehensive chart analysis, expressing optimism for a potential upward surge in Bitcoin's value, with a hopeful outlook for reaching the $50,000 mark. The Bitcoin price dipped below the $44,000 mark on Friday as increased market volatility followed the Securities and Exchange Commission's approval of multiple spot ETF applications, opening the door to cryptocurrencies to many new investors who want to avoid taking the extra steps in buying actual Bitcoin. Soloway remains optimistic about the potential for Bitcoin to reach the upper levels, citing just slightly above the high 48,000 and significant trend lines within the 48,000 to 50,000 range as crucial levels to monitor. After trading of spot Bitcoin ETFs began on Thursday, the numbers were shocking, with the latest reports showing that trading volume hit $4.5 billion during the first day of trading. According to James Seifert, flows likely comprised the lion's share of the trading volume, save for GBTC. Soloway observes a particular strength in Bitcoin's current performance, attributing it to the anticipation of the launch and trading commencement of ETFs. Shifting attention to Ethereum, Soloway highlights its potential as a runner and notes its overnight surge toward the $2,700 level. After the approval of the Bitcoin ETF, the price of Ether spiked to its highest level since May 2022 in hopes that an ETF for the token might be given the green light next. Now, let's focus on the video to explore more. Before we get started, subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon for the latest updates.
We have Bitcoin pushing up again a little bit today. The spot ETF was approved, much less fanfare than the initial fake out the prior day. But here we are. We're continuing to hover relatively well. Interestingly enough, we didn't get much volatility on the actual announcement. I think everyone kind of was exhausted from the previous day, saw that overall price didn't do a whole lot. It popped up, sold a little bit, and then here we are today. But the one thing I will say, Bitcoin is beginning to test this 48,000 level. We're almost back to 48,000. I'm still in the camp that we'll go to 48 to 50. Okay, 48 to 50 is my zone. Now, again, we know that the 618 is just a little bit higher, around 48, high 48s. We also know that we have major trend lines right around 48 to 50,000. So that's going to be the big level to watch here. One of the reasons why I think the Bitcoin chart or Bitcoin action today is somewhat on the strong side is because everyone is waiting for these ETFs to launch, right, to begin trading. And so I think you're getting hype going into it, which is pushing Bitcoin up in a short term. Now, when these things debut, if there's not a lot of price action and price doesn't spike up on that, that's where I think you could see a little bit of a sell-off come in. So again, it's kind of like the last thing we see. It's like I think there's a lot of people that are waiting for these ETFs, and maybe rightly so, to see how much interest, how much money floods into these things so they pop. Do they pop on that? And if that happens, then that's a good thing, right? I'm still hoping we get about 50,000 out of this to really tag that upper level, but that's what I'm looking at this point in time. Still thinking, again, I'm still in the camp that whether we touch 50, pierce 50, or don't even get to 50, at some point we are going to retrace to the downside on the charts. Ethereum, we talked about yesterday. I was talking about how this makes sense as a potential runner. And again, Ethereum in the overnight continued to push up. You can see here, there is a big level at $2,700. That to me is where this thing is going. We've gotten very close at this point. Today's high right now, I'm seeing it around 2630. That's a 10. No, that's right. 2633, give or take a little bit. 2666. I apologize. 2666. So we came within about $35 of that $2,700 level. But again, right now, this is now the news story that everyone's starting to talk about, the new narrative, as we call it, which is, again, Ethereum ETF. Maybe this gets approved by the summer. We'll have to see. But again, there's no decision earlier than the summer at this point. That's the earliest point that I'm hearing that this will be on the docket for decision of an ETF.
Stocks were back to their winning ways on Wednesday. Still, all eyes were on crypto as investors awaited the SEC's decision on a spot Bitcoin ETF, which the regulator ultimately approved after equity markets closed. Stocks ended Thursday near the flat line after a fresh round of inflation data reflected an uptick in consumer prices for December. December's Consumer Price Index report came out slightly higher than expected, reflecting a 0.3% increase in consumer prices for the month, pushing the annual rate to 3.4%. The S&P 500 edged lower by 0.07%, ending at 4,780. Despite hotter-than-expected inflation news, Soloway indicates that the market is still trading slightly positive, referencing the previous day's green candle. However, he firmly states that the approval of the spot Bitcoin ETF has introduced a prevailing risk-on sentiment, indicating a general willingness among investors to take on higher-risk assets. Now, let's shift our focus to a video.
Here is the 10-year yield on an intraday basis. This is the 10-minute chart, so each one of these is 10 minutes. Look at the move of interest rates to the upside. That is a huge move, guys. Again, basically from 3.98 to 4.066%. In interest rate land, that is a big move. Again, what do the markets do? When interest rates go up, what do we expect from the S&P? Take a look at this drop. So this is where we were trading going into the numbers pre-market on the S&P or the spiders. Look at the drop that we saw. Now, listen, we were up nicely on the markets going into these numbers this morning. The market, again, was euphoric following multiple good news days. And here we are giving back those gains from just this morning pre-market, and we're only slightly negative. So I want to be clear on this. It's not like markets are collapsing. The mentality of the market right now is jovial. It's jubilant. It's we're going to be fine no matter what. Sure, this data so far is causing a little sell in the S&P, but it certainly isn't a big sell yet. And I think that's important to put in perspective, right? You have to look at what the reality of the situation is. And just to do that, let's flip over to the daily chart. Here's your daily chart. Where are we currently trading on the daily chart here? Here was yesterday's green candle. We're like right here, just down ever so slightly. We're still net positive from yesterday. Maybe that changes throughout the course of the day, but I think, again, the spot Bitcoin ETF being approved, it's risk on in this market. There's no doubt about it. So even when you get hotter than expected inflation news, the market, at least for now, is kind of saying, okay, hotter, but we're not buying it. We still want to buy stocks. We still want to buy crypto. We still want to have fun, and we think we're going to make money. That will change at some point, at least not now as of today.
The market capitalization of Bitcoin stood at more than $913 billion as of Wednesday, according to CoinGecko. Standard Chartered analysts this week said the ETFs could draw $50 billion to $100 billion this year alone. Other analysts have said inflows will be closer to $55 billion over 5 years. This concludes our discussion for today. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section below. If you found this content informative, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for the latest updates. Thank you for being here with us.